610 gold. Nice attempt here to deny this. Very proactive from Kellen, knowing that this is the upcoming play. If you actually get that pick, you can shut this down completely, but unsuccessful. It's a bit of a quiet moment here before this next Drake spawns, but if T1 get a 2 Drake advantage, it's going to make it, you know, very comfortable for them heading into this mid game.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the objectives they've already taken, the first Drake, the first Herald. The only thing they're kind of not enjoying is this top lane.
Yeah.
And you look at the side of Nongshim, I mean, the Nocturne and the Diana are immediately online, so those are going to be a couple of tools that can absolutely help you just dive in and win big team fights, especially in the mid game here.
A lot of help coming up to the top side now that this bottom turret is gone. Rich was very far forward. He does react very quickly here. We'll just have Teddy and Keria trying to get a further lead here. Some additional plays.
Trying to punish Keria, but Rich, maybe did he go too far? The kill not quite coming in, but Kai'Sa's able to get that execution. And now we have the Paranoia follow-up. The Jinx has to flash away. And this is what Nongshim's comp does. You find enemy champion, and you engage on them. You press all your buttons. Look at this.
Peanut's here.
That's a really great stun.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Blind 2 over the wall just in case he was there. It's not over yet. Peanut once
more.
more.
On the chase, and there it is. He's got Pro Belt. Easy peasy flash on over. You got to be careful about the Viego, but you still got so much value if you're Nongshim in that top side fight.
So much extra gold. They actually pull ahead. They take a gold lead, and they're going to get an extra plate here, it looks like, potentially.
Okay, big fight here in the mid lane, but the grit is there, and the Haymaker is huge. The solo kill for the former substitute of T1.
Are we learning here in the LCK about that grit, about that Haymaker? I thought we were, but apparently not. As a failed attempted solo kill goes wrong here, Nongshim turned a very slight lead for T1 into a massive gold lead for them. They're 900 gold ahead right now, nearly 1,000.
Yeah.
As they take this scuttle, they have positioning to maybe even wrap up and wrap around for this Drake to even up the Heralds, or rather even up the Dragons. It's been a bit of a longer night here.
I want to. Oh, okay. So we're gonna start with this. Maybe we can see the trade between Faker and Gory a little bit later.
Keria is level 6 here, so he uses the box, gets feared, but he goes down so quickly. Rich does so much damage to him. The equalizer is well placed, but this is just a numbers game that you're not going to win as T1 here. Yeah, you get the flash away on the Jinx, but like once the Paranoia comes through, you have to respect how quickly this team can rotate. I love the stun from Kana, but as we show, the Rocket Belt is just going to help close the distance with the flash here for Peanut to close that last gap.
All right, let's see it.
I mean, he stays here and keeps trading because he's got Dominus, but like, this is just a miscalculation. Like, it's just straight up, like nothing else to say about it.
Does Gory say anything? Nothing. Does Peanut say anything?
Peanut does. I would have actually rather watched Faker's face in that moment, to be honest. But
yeah. Either way, when I looked at the items right after, I saw Faker with the Core Drinker, and maybe he died and bought it right away. So I don't know if he had that item advantage before he went for the fight. I would assume not.
I don't think so.
Yeah. He just felt like, okay, I'm Renekton, I should win this, but he just got popped in the face multiple times by the set. It was pretty straightforward, just a miscalculation, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, last time we saw him walk away. Not this time.
Yeah.
So,
and that's just another lane that's coming online now.
Yeah.
Because the Nocturne and the Diana were already, holding hands and doing fun stuff up in the top side, but now the set gets an extra kill under its belt. The Kai'Sa got a kill in the last fight. I mean, things are really ramping up here for Nongshim.
Diana also is starting to get a little bit fed, which is terrifying, right? I mean, she spikes a little bit later than a lot of AP junglers, but getting the Rocket Belt this early, getting that kill with it, she's got Sork Shoes, it now has a stopwatch, so the upcoming fight, she's going to be almost immortal.
Look at Rich. I mean, he's not scared of anything.
I mean, this is a kind of game where the T1 fans are going to be like, still wondering if Zeus might ever make an appearance. It's not Kana getting totally gapped so bad that you have to really criticize his individual performance. It's just that Rich is outplaying him. Interesting interaction here.
Yeah, Kellen's like, well, I didn't want to go over the wall, but if that's what you insist. And, they're going to use this prio. They have rotated the lanes, and they're going to look for the second Rift Herald. It's the only big objective on the map right now. And, you know, I thought that rotation from T1 up to the top side of the map where Keria went pretty deep and warded, I thought that was actually a smart macro play.
Yeah.
Right? You try to neutralize where Gnomeshim are strong, and you try to basically push Rich and Peanut out of the lane and stop them from bullying Kana. But it was just an overstep, you know? And they were a little bit spread out, the communication wasn't there, and Gnomeshim just pounced on them.
It was a decision that when you think about the power of where Gnomeshim has their power, which lanes, which part of the map, it's a great decision in that regard, but it failed to take into account how far away and from how far you can actually collapse.
Hey, okay.
You know,
well.
just watch this one more time.
Well.
that was actually the sound that Valdez basically made when he explained what was happening in that. That's what like sound you heard in your head.
Pretty much. At first he was like, "Oh, what the hell? Why am I here?"
But yeah, like in terms of the decision from you know just a straight up macro perspective and a state of the game perspective, I think it was correct. But when you think about how far Nocturne can engage with Paranoia, and I mean if you look at this is why I was leaning towards the Leona. Didn't like the Kaisa as much, but you know, Kaisa goes even more all in on this. Like set Showstopper, you know, Diana's Q, Moonfall, Paranoia, Killer Instinct, Solar Flare, like.
Yeah, the Solar Flare is just more reliable engage, straight up.
Yeah,
right?
so
like, Thresh offers more utility, but the Solar Flare in the ability alone, and the follow-up, of course.
The synergy that T1's comp has with the Jinx is not that great. It's just that Jinx was a great option with Thresh as an AD carry, considering that most meta AD carries elsewise were banned away. So it felt like you chose, you know, it's like you're picking teams for like at the playground, and like it was the best option left of the players that were left to pick as the Jinx with the Thresh. But
poor Jinx.
But actually, in terms of tiers, like Kai'Sa's way lower. However, for the comp, it makes a lot of sense, and we haven't seen this really come online just yet. But I'm talking about some of the things that T1, some mistakes T1 might make.
Yeah.
That's not wrong based on, again, the map and where they are in this game, but wrong based on Nongshim's comp and how much Nongshim can punish them.
Yeah, I wonder who could have been better, like if Sivir were in the meta, you know, the Magic Shield to just deny that. Okay, we're going to have to hold that thought. Kana, Heartbreaker's over the wall. He will get away, but that was pretty scary there for a moment. But yeah, maybe like Tristana, which they banned, you know, stuff like this. But the Jinx, you're right, it does kind of stand alone with the Thresh down on the bottom side. We'll see if it gets value later on, but for now it's just kind of sitting there.
Xayah, something else I guess you could have considered as her own kind of safety net that she can have.
Khan, maybe?
Yeah, because that's going to help you against a lot of the engage tools that Nongshim have. You can counter some of that with the Rakan, and the Xayah can, you know, just flee away herself like into the air and be totally fine by the storm. So Nongshim going to look for a Drake advantage here now. And T1 are just not able to skirmish or fight. Look at the vision around the left side of the pit. Oh, look at all the pings. Like, T1's like, well, I can't be anywhere near that area. I can't be anywhere over there. They could be lying in wait for us. We don't know.
I'm glad you mentioned the Jinx, too, because it's funny how similar this game could have turned out to our Game 3 of Gen G versus Live Sandbox. I mean, you have the same matchup at the mid lane. You have, like, the same kind of weak AD carry that doesn't have mobility. We had Kog'Maw in that game with not much peel. This time we have Jinx in this game with not much peel. And there could have been a scenario where, like Live Sandbox in that previous game, T1 could have gotten ahead and were the huge favorites to win, but then the Jinx goes boom, and then it's like, oh, well, we lost all our damage, and I guess we lose the fight. That's what happened in that game, where Gen G were able to take it in one big team fight where they got jumped on by the way, Diana and Set. It's really weird how these two games could have been so similar.
And this meta is just so oftentimes revolving around those late game team fights because we're seeing LCK really slow down the mid game plays. And even a lead like 5 kills to 1 and 2,000 gold lead that we've seen for Nongshim isn't necessarily enough to guarantee you a massive lead going into the beginning of the late game. So still anything is possible here, but I'm going to see the Rift Herald tossed in right away, second one of the game to help push this mid turret down. Not going to be able to finish it off, but a lot of valuable damage here. Nongshim still sitting pretty in this game. Don't really need to force anything.
And I'm going to be curious to see, you know, what Teddy can do.
This ward battle is kind of hilarious.
It's funny to see. It'll be cool to see how long this game goes as well. I mean, Faker and Teddy just find themselves in super long games over and over and over again. Somehow, some way. And will this be another one? You know, Teddy was originally known as the Fountain Laser. And Jinx is definitely another champion that could potentially pull that off.
Look at this range and look at this threat. Like, Gory was not shown on camera there, but he was wrapping all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes a solar flare like that is just going to, if T1 try to contest, they actually end up getting collapsed on, they die, they have to back away. And that solar flare almost got you a turret, right, if you're Nongshim. So
yeah.
I love the proactive play we're seeing here, given the state of the game right now for this squad. The set got a little bit fed, right? So you can really avoid T1 punishing you because you know they can't actually be clearing these wards safely. Like, Gory can actually take that trip around the world without any threat. Like, look at the champions that T1 have. There's nobody who's going to meet a Set in the jungle and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to walk away. Actually, Set could go wherever
Nobody
he wants.
does that to Set.
Yeah.
He's the boss.
He could do that. That's what it says on his LOL page. But he can go anywhere he wants.
It's true.
Whenever he wants. We need to make like a setfacts.org kind of webpage so people can know the truth about this champion.
We're just spreading truth. Everybody needs to hear our message.
But yeah, I mean,
set-fanclub.com.
you can't stop him from making those wraparounds right now. You could see it coming if you have vision, but if you don't, it's hard for you to even go in there and get that vision. If you don't see a set on the map, you're like always at risk.
And here's another thing. Okay, so we are having more downtime. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, again, the Thresh versus Leona considerations we were making here, as Gory is just going to haymaker backwards, clear the wave.
Use your body to clear a wave, yeah.
The thing about Leona is that she's really kind of like a win more support as well. Like, if you're behind, solar flares feel less and less good because you just throw them out, they kind of ignore them. Maybe it can peel. It's not as good peel as Thresh though, right? Lanterns, Flays, you have more utility that could have potentially been better had you been behind. But when you're ahead, you just throw out solar flares, that's potential kills. Because your team is ahead, you can jump on in, you have fed carries that can follow up on that. But when you're behind, doesn't do quite as much. So the Leona here ends up getting a lot more value because Nongshim are ahead.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's only really good feels. You know, if T1 were engaging hardcore onto your Kai'Sa and you couldn't really peel because they just dashed past your solar flare, definitely wouldn't be feeling as good.
No, absolutely not. And the reason why Nongshim are ahead, if you're tuning in a little bit late or you've forgotten because it's been so long since we've actually had a real fight or a kill, we got to watch this.
Guys, yeah, go back to the mid lane. This is definitely what we want to see. So the Heartbreaker will be denied, by the way.
Here comes Peanut.
Here we go, just jumping on in. Duck Tom is looking for the engage, but he went a little bit too far. He's going to be burst down. And now Rich is in the enemy jungle all alone, not able to do anything. Down he will go. And now it's a 5v3 in favor of T1. Nongshim, they are desperately looking to pull the triggers at any time possible, and they get themselves in trouble for it.
Yeah, and it almost felt like if Nongshim won that fight by the turn we saw that was really similar to what happened on the top side of the map. I was going to say, I mean, it almost like goes back to what I was going to say and explain why T1 was behind in the first place, is fights like this, but this time it goes way better, right? Nongshim are not ready to pounce and actually punish as quickly with their comp this time when the death sentence comes through. They're going to group around this Baron, but they don't have the firepower to stop this.
No control wards either. Okay, there it is.
There's one.
And the one does come down. Will we have any
Peanut.
steal from Peanut? Can he get it? No. That was down to like 24 health, but not quite able to get any kind of steal.
Peanut is famous for Baron steals, but this is a move that I think he will regret, and Nongshim will regret with him. As we watch this once again, it looks like maybe there's a turn here. Kellen has stopwatch. He is able to survive. He backs off. Peanut comes through. And look at how much engage they have. This is why I was talking about the top side of the map. T1 overextend because they think they can win this fight, but there's just so many ways you can collapse in. Unfortunately, though, Kellen is super low from the earlier exchange. You don't have a Kai'Sa who has enough damage to kill anybody. And watch this. How much is it? 69 when it hits, and like.
Nice.
Maybe if you're T1.
Yeah, for T1, I mean, that's a nice secure, but...
You've given over a lot of extra gold to T1 too. I don't think that was the right call from Peanut. You don't want to give up a Baron, but now you've given up your life as well.
I mean, I think the biggest issue with that was Duck Dom killer instincting on top of Rumble. Like, he just did nothing. He jumped in, got burned to death, and that was it. He was gone. He got zero value in that fight. Like, you can't be ahead and just lose your 80 carry. As sometimes the 80 carry roll gets memed when you just get popped like a balloon, but you gotta look out for yourself, as now Faker's gotta look out for himself, able to dash over the wall to safety.
Yep, he'll be okay. Kana's got a second item up now too. With all the gold given and the Baron buff on top of it all, like T1, we're making a big comeback in this game. And Nongshim gifting this to them by, you know, I mean, remember when Kellen actually stopwatched there instead of actually just going, like he flashed and didn't, like he stayed, he didn't leave, and they tried to collapse in. If Nongshim just walk away there, we're still with a massive lead for them, but they got greedy.
Hook on Agori here, he doesn't care. As Nongshim, they're still very confidently pushing into T1's jungle, even though the equalizer will come down here. Here's the follow-up from Kellen. He's going to disappear. Now the Diana goes in, has to smite to survive. And, I mean, I suppose the only positive thing you can say about this for Nongshim is that they're buying time.
Remember,
but T1 are just absorbing this, and they're getting kills, and they're catching up.
Remember what you said about Leona being a win more, and how it doesn't look the same when they're behind? Well, after the second time Kellen makes a mistake here, being over-aggressive, I think we're going to find out what it looks like when you're behind, because T1 are now massively ahead in this game. They've won every single fight since that last exchange that went badly for them on the top side, because Nongshim are refusing to back off. They're actually just playing like they're massively ahead still and crashing their heads into a brick wall every single time we look for these big engages. They don't have the damage just yet. Diana still only has the Rocket Belt and the Zonias here. You're not like going to explode T1 in one fell swoop with these engages.
Rumble has a lot more damage right now.
Yeah, like look at this fight again. Peanut's caught here. The equalizer comes down, and Kellen's going in. Ducktom's on the top side of the fight, but like, what are you thinking is going to happen here? Everybody's grouped up for T1. Nobody's isolated. You can't blow up targets that quickly, not anymore.
Yeah, you're fighting into a choke against Rumble, Jinx, Renekton. I mean, you're not going to have a good time, especially if you get caught out like that. I think that Nongshim, you know, they have a specific goal in mind. They see their composition. It's very obvious. You all press your buttons at the same time, and you dive the enemy back line, and you just look to get hyper-aggressive. But you got to be careful in times like this. You can't just go on any given day. You got to wait for your moments, like we were talking about in the last game.
I would love to see the item difference spikes for the AD carries, because Infinity Edge was purchased just now for Ducktom, whereas 3 items have been done for Teddy for a while. He also has his next BF sword online, so Infinity Edge coming up soon. You have to imagine, like, the AD carry matchup here, which has been, again, a fairly boring lane to watch, but with the amount of damage that Teddy got done, got the full plates, went at top, got more value there, got so ahead, his power spike is accelerated, and that was going to be a win condition you could fall back on for T1 in this game, but now it just feels like a bonus because they've been given so many free team fights here from Nongshim, overextending, being too aggressive, that now you have a whole well-rounded team comp. Even a 2-item Viego has a stopwatch is actually relevant now. When Jinx can put people low, when you could see a really nice equalizer put people low, so Viego can pop off and get resets. It's a totally different game now. It turned on its head completely, like an hourglass flipping. And time's run out for Nongshim, it feels like, in this game, if they keep crashing into these team fights haphazardly.
Yeah.
You need to play around more vision or around more people getting split.
Yeah, they're not even that far behind. Like, there is a couple of issues. You mentioned the items of Jinx. Now he has a stopwatch. But also the Rumble has gotten some significant gold back in his pockets, and he's going to be an issue. But,
yeah.
I mean, you still have the same composition where if you find a Jinx, you find a Viego, somebody out of position, you can just CC them to death and blow them up. You still have that potential. That will always be there. It's just that the more time, the more levels, the more items you give to your opponent, it will be more difficult. And let's see how they set this one up, because the ward comes in. Peanut will clear that out with the rest of his team, and Nongshim, it doesn't look like they want to back down from this fight.
Nope. They have vision advantage here around the pit itself. T1 are going to have to try to push mid, try to find something else, get a little bit of prio before they collapse in.
It's a great forward ward from Kellen.
Rich's position is so good here because he can basically be anywhere with his paranoia.
They're looking for Gory, who is just going to engage, gets into that back line. Nice base breaker as here we go. They're diving on in, and it is just immense damage into that back line, and this is exactly what we were talking about. They get on top of Teddy. He will go down. Baker is going 1v4, but it is not going to work out. It's not a clean ace, but it basically was, as Noxim crushed them in the fight.
I'm gonna have to watch that one on like times 1.25 speed to actually see who got picked first. But I think it was Keria. Just looking at death timers, it was the one who was collapsed onto when Gory goes in.
There it is.
Actually collapses. There's 1,000 kills for Peanut.
Congratulations, a huge honor. Peanut joins the upper echelon.
First exclusively jungle player to actually make that happen. So let's watch this one more time, because Gory is on the side here. Like I said, Rich can come in at any time. They collapse into Gory. He showstoppers in and actually looks for the angle here on the left side. You see the paranoia come through, and everybody gets clumped up here, but guess what? Set loves this!
Imagine being Jinx.
Imagine being Jinx. Imagine being Thresh even. Who cares? Like, Teddy's on the side here going, okay, well, I hope I can maybe help finish off these targets. Please help me, Faker, but no, not to be.
How am I supposed to play the game?
Like, set Diana.
봐줘.
Is
이겼어.
so incredibly strong. You can't actually group up like this.
카이팅해. 나 존냐 있어.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, he's just
오케이.
yelling to keep fighting
바로
to
가자,
get
바로
Sonya's.
yeah. The idea is like, okay, let's try to kill the Set. I don't know why teams love to do this. They see Set and they're like, okay, we have to engage. They saw him alone and they were like, oh, maybe we can catch him out alone. But everybody on the side of Nongshim can hop walls. Every single champion can immediately jump in, and then you're clumped up.
This is why
the Jinx has no peel. Nobody has no peel, and you're playing straight into Nongshim's comp.
the comp is, yeah, exactly. The comp has so much synergy. The execution is good here from Nongshim too. And, you know, they didn't know where Gory was. And then they focused him. He, you know, he's set. So Thresh is blown up first, and the rest of the team just falls apart afterwards. And now Nongshim have such a lead once again. Like, this game has definitely been back and forth, but Baron buffs up, Drake's, you know, 3 of them to 2, but the fact they have Soul Point here means that the next Drake is so pressuring for T1, like they will have to actually fight over this, and I don't think they want to.
Yeah, they're trying to jump onto Ridge, but I mean, Strybreaker Nocturne is always going to get away. As we have seen over the course of 2 games, it's been pretty easy for Ridge to avoid getting collapsed on over and over again. And this is what I was talking about. You know, Nongshim, they had many stumbles in the mid game, but it ends up not mattering because of their compass. Okay, let's try to kill Set again.
I mean, watch this again. Like, he gets out totally fine. Ends up eating the equalizer damage, but now equalizer's on cooldown, so you feel even a little bit more comfortable to push through.
Look at his health bar. It's like, he got like 20% health there in like 3 seconds.
Plus
so
two Ocean Drakes on top of it all to help heal him up. Ocean Drake value in the late game against the Rumble is so good, actually. Because oftentimes the Rumble will just kind of continue to use that later on because the cooldown's so low, but you can heal back through.
Look at what's happening in this game now. I feel like that game, they crushed T1, and they crushed their spirits entirely. Will they make a stand? Will they have any hope of winning a team fight here? They're going to let all 3 inhibitors go down.
Defensive paranoia here. It guarantees the 3rd inhibitor. And now the ball's in Nongshim's court here. They can back off.
They're TPing in.
If anybody dies here for T1, they win the game. But I think they might maybe force this back off. Rumble does have his equalizer back up. Faker's going in.
Okay, equalizer does nothing. And there's the engage. The Diana goes in. The hook is good, though. Nice. Zonya's, but Peanut might be in danger. And there's the Set engage once again. Everybody tries to press their buttons, but the damage isn't enough. They're kiting back very well. And they're actually finding a way to win this one. The death sentence onto the Kaisa. T1 might have done it. They're able to get 4 here in the fight. And that is massive for trying to come back in this game.
Certified Clown Fiesta, I think, is where we're at right now, Valdez. But you can't stay that long. You said the equalizer does nothing. It did very little damage, but it trapped the members of Nongshim in the base. Then you start to see the engage come through. Like, we're going to jump right back to this. The equalizer locks them in a little bit, and it makes it feel like Nongshim have to stay and fight this because they can't actually get out. And then watch Kana in this fight. We see Peanut actually go golden twice. He has a stopwatch and the Zonias, so he's able to live, but he does nothing during these moments of the fight. Gory can't actually get the secure kill. Look at Kana. 1 reset. Okay, here we go. 2 resets, and he's just so unkillable in this fight anymore. It's perfect death sentence there.
Yeah.
Coming through from Keria guarantees the kill onto Gory. So much extra gold going over to T1. They're going to tie up the Drakes with this too, unless Rich steals.
Okay,
which he does not.
That was a little bit scary. That was pretty tense, actually. You had minions pushing in, and if you give Ocean Soul away at that point, then your souls are certainly crushed. Spirits are totally gone.
This is a very crazy game, once again. We're 35 minutes in. Doesn't feel like it's been that late in the game. Yeah, it's... If Monte Cristo were here, man, he'd sign off on it.
Somebody get him on the phone.
And I think he's the one who decides what is, in fact, a Clown Fiesta, but...
Absolutely.
I know him pretty well. I think he would definitely approve. He might be watching right now. You never know. But anyway, now we're seeing a group up here for Nongshim. Once again, they still have those 3 inhibitors of pressure. So even though T1 win the fight, like they're still on dire straits.
They run it back. They have 2 lanes pushing. Death Sentence misses. The engage comes in. He gets the stun on the Duck Dom, but there in goes the set. And this time it's looking a bit better, although Teddy is still alive. Still trying to kite back, but he finally goes down to the Nocturne. And that might just be it, because though he still has full health, they're trying to kite down onto Gory, as they're actually not able to break the base here. Down will go the 2 turrets, but that is it.
But T1, they're permanently on their base now, Valdez. You're not going to be able to leave.
Oh, boy.
They actually might even be able to collapse in here and take down the Nexus. Sometimes here.
He's looking for it. The Killer Instinct. He finds it, and he's able to get it down. And he's just going in. He doesn't give a damn right now. He's looking for the win, and he will be able to secure it. Finally, at the end here, Duck Dom shows up in a big way, and they're able to turn down all of the members of T1. Even Kellen survives as the Nexus goes down, and the 2-0 is secured for Nongshim here tonight.
Very messy back and forth second game after what was an extremely long first game. You got to know tensions are high here on stage. Both teams exhausted after what was the longest game of the year, 7th longest in LCK history. But they come through in the end. Peanut makes the big plays on 2 major champions tonight. The Rumble,
Absolutely.
He wins POG on. Game 2, he was my vote again on the Diana. He was the strongest player of 5 here for Nongshim. It's his 1,000th kill, the first jungler exclusive player to ever do so, the 3rd in LCK history to hit 1,000 kills. He shows that he is a veteran. He's played with Faker before. He's been on T1. He takes them down tonight in what is a monumental occasion here for Nongshim. They're going to take their 4th win of the season, defeating T1 after bringing Gen.G to a 3rd game. And this is the best we've seen out of Nongshim in a very long time.
Yeah, and a little thing about Peanut, he mentioned, somebody asked him, do you think you'll win today on your 1,000th kill day? He says, I always play against T1 on special days. On his birthday, he did in spring, and he always lost in the past. But today, he broke the jinx. And he actually did break the jinx of Teddy playing Jinx. Was able to crush the spirits of the T1 fans, the T1 players. He and the rest of Nongshim showed up big, and this was a sick performance from them.
I mean, they totally outclassed T1 in terms of the draft, in terms of the synergy, right? Like, he's trying to do any pose possible for the cameras here, but they outclassed them in draft synergy. You can always say, yeah, Thresh Jinx is amazing. It's a great duo. Like in a vacuum, when you don't know what any of the other enemy team is, what your team is going to be. But I really like the Leona pick. I really like the Kai'Sa that comes through. It's not something you expect when you consider what it can accomplish and what that Killer Instinct did to basically end the game. It's amazing to see how Duck Dom pulls this off. Nongshim look like a very well-oiled machine. The coordination is higher than it's ever been. And sure, there were some issues in Game 1. They couldn't close things out as quickly as a lot of other teams may have. In Game 2, there were some overextensions, right? Kellen made some big mistakes. The first time they had that turn on the top side of the map was amazing. The second time didn't go so well. The third time, even worse. But yet they stabilized and win the fights that matter. Set is extremely powerful. I think that's something you and I have been screaming about, metaphorically speaking here, all week long, even a little bit last week. And that story is going to continue.
Today's play of the games is 1,000 kills, 2-0 for Nongshim, the legendary Korean caster duo. I didn't catch the 4th one, but lots of players of the game today. It's Nongshim as a team. You really love to see it. You mentioned the draft. I think in both games it was just a bit easier to execute, and they showed that they know exactly how to do that. I thought that Peanuts play absolutely was carrying in this game, a bit in the early game, in the first game, maybe towards the mid-later stages of the game. Showed up on a big day, as did Gory, by the way.
Yeah, Gory had
I don't know if he's going to get the player of the game. He definitely might. Like, some of these engages on the set were pretty awesome.
But, well, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Everybody can go over the wall here.
Yeah.
So Peanut comes in, has the big moonfall, but...
All 5.
I mean, you have Killer Instinct, you have the Solar Flare. You can just send a blade over the wall too. Like,
yeah.
Oh, so
Flash
clean.
over, immediately get in there.
It's so satisfying to watch this team and this composition operate. Like, they got everything they wanted in this draft. The Nocturne Diana set is just terrifying on its own, but we consider Leona, Isa. T1 should have banned some of these champions potentially, and I think they'll learn a lot from this series. And this is a moment where you got to see, finally, for the first time, it feels like an LCK. Real Viego value, but 3 inhibitors were still down. They still had the better items, and they got to finish. We'll listen to the comms.
파워치 생각해. 얘네 걸었다. 다 같이 잡아야 돼. 나 징크스 볼게, 징크스. 징크스 노플 안 좋아. 안 좋다. 안 좋아.
Just yelling.
No.
징크스 야 이러면 그냥 파워 치면서 해봐. 아야 TF 하면서 해. 너 못 봐줘. 야 빼면서. 아야 봐줘. 야 이거 한 번 빠져. 세트 저거 세트 먹었어 비에고. 한 번 빠지면서. 애들 한 번 빠지면 돼. 장미 이러니까 빼면 돼. 빼. 장미 이러니까 레벨도 있거든. 이거 그냥 빼야 되나? 징크스 피처면 하면 되지 않냐? 빨리 날아갈게. 날아가봐. 좋아. 끝내자. 그냥 싸울게. 애들, 아니 쌈바. 오우야. 애기가 싸움 봐야겠어. 쌈바. 야, 나 피우지 마자 이거. 죽여. 무조건 죽여야 돼. 나 킬 좀 하겠다. 피우지야 이거. 야, 나 킬 좀 하겠다. 나이스.
A much happier ending in the comms here for Nocturne in game 2 than we had in game 1, where there were some frustrations, and you could see we heard about the comms in game 1, and in game 2 you could see there was still a little bit of hesitation. That was not the cleanest calling ever, but this is some of the best coordination we have seen from Nongshim in this org's history, even if you go back as far as dynamics. So yeah, there's still a lot to improve on, but if you're a Nongshim fan, you've got to be so happy with their performance in not just this series, but all season long. This looks like a playoff-ready team, and if they can continue to improve in a long season, maybe, just maybe, they go to Worlds. Could happen.
It definitely could. You know, it's still early in summer. There's still a long time before we do get there, but it's definitely possible. And with the way that round 1 is shaking up here in summer, I mean, we're getting towards, you know, the midway point of round 1 now. And already, the teams that are ending up on top, really the only team that was one of the strongest teams from spring is Gen G. That's still up at the top, undefeated. All the other teams, T1, Dom1 are taking losses. Homolife DRX, I don't even really want to, you know, mention them. They're not at the top at all right now, especially in their play. And other teams are just, they were waiting for their moment and they found it. KT, but more so Live Sandbox and Nongshim, as we saw today.
So many problems in the upper echelon of the LCK, roster-wise, performance-wise. You know, we're seeing some role swaps. Whereas the underdogs they see the void. They look hungry. And not only are they winning because the upper teams are weaker right now, because they're trying to figure out how they want to play in summer, but I think they see the opportunity to actually rise up and take some of those spots. And if you are a T1 fan, a Dom1 Kia fan right now, a Homolife Esports fan, you should not feel like your spot in playoffs is necessarily even secure.
Yeah, we have the POG ready, as it is going to be Gory that does pick it up. And he will be on top, actually. 600 points.
That's right.
At the moment, he was tied with Lava, but now he will secure the first place spot alone. And his set engages and the abilities of this champion. Oh boy.
We've seen a lot. I mean, Gory's having a lot of success on set. You know, we're seeing Lava the same, but both of these players started out the season really impressing on Akali. You know, like that was what Lava and Gory both did to actually get a lot of the leads in POG. But now, I mean, this was, unfortunately for this highlight, it was a faker misplay, but now you're starting to see the depth of Gory's champion pool. Like, it's quite wide now. He's played 6 champions so far this season, including the Yone.
Yeah.
And even though he may not look it, and even though he is a very new player, he's practically a rookie here in the LCK, he might very quickly become a superstar, just because he's performing so consistently well.
5 out of 12.
It was a close one.
I guess the tiebreaker here is over there on the analyst desk, as
they
it does come through. Yeah, 5 votes there for Peanut as well. So it was 5 for Peanut, 5 for Gory, and then 2 for Rich from the Korean casting desk.
Rich did very well. Honorable mention. We were talking about Gory and Peanut the most, but Rich did look very good.
Yeah, well, guys, we have the interview ready, so I'm going to pass it over to Ji-Sun for the translation.
네, 긴 경기
Thank you
끝에
very
농심이
much,
T1
guys.
상대로
And Dongsim
승리하면서
picks up the
4승을
2-0
달성했습니다.
win after a very long series. So I'm here with Peanut during the POGs on the side of Dongsim Red Force. Congratulations. Thank you.
네, 피넛 선수 오늘
피넛.
정말 쉽지 않은
This
승부였습니다.
was
소감이
not
남다르실
a
것 같은데요.
easy
소감
victory.
한마디
How are you
부탁드립니다.
feeling?
네, 오늘 1세트 이겼을 때는 오늘 경기
When
이길
we
거라고
won
약간
game
좀
one,
확신에 차
I had
있었고
this confidence that we
1세트
will,
장기전
you know,
중에도
win the
판 이기면
series
이 경기 이기면
because
2세트도
it
이길
was a
거다라고
very
했는데
long game.
말 그대로
So if we get to
2세트까지
win this,
이겨가지고
we're gonna win game 2
기분
as well. So
네,
I'm happy that we're
맞습니다.
able
고리
to make
선수는
it come
여태까지
true.
모든 매치를 3세트까지 가는
Gory,
접전을 펼치셨는데요.
this is
오늘은
the
2대0
first
승리하셨습니다.
2-0
소감
victory
한마디
for
들어볼게요.
Dongsim as well. How are you feeling? It was 2-0, but game 1 was too long. It feels like we played 3 games. I'm so exhausted right now, but I'm glad that I was able to take down my former team.
첫 경기부터 6발언
Speaking
3점로
of game number 1, you guys,
70분 16분
there was 6 barons, 3 elders, even our graphics wasn't ready for the post 60-minute game. So when was the moment that you felt so confident to win? I think never. I was so nervous throughout the game, especially Faker's Azir was getting so fed, farming up all the minions in their base, and you know they were able to buy so much time. So I was so, you know, uncertain.
좀 빠르다고 하긴 좀 그렇지만
느리게.
아주 천천히.
아주 천천히
It was a very slow race,
피넛
but we
선수
made it.
1경기 끝나는 순간에 얘들아
Peanut,
집중하자 집중 안
in
하면
the
이렇게 된다
player
이런
comm,
말씀해 주셨어요.
you actually told the players to
긴
focus
경기전 끝에도
up.
집중력을 유지할 수 있는
So tell us about it.
팁을
How are you
알려주신다면
able
어떤
to
게 있을까요?
remain concentrated in a very
경기를
long
좀
game?
많이 치러봤고
네.
평소에
Well, I have
건강
played
관리도
a
잘하고
lot of
있어가지고
games. I also, you know,
오랫동안 할 수 있는 것
take a
같고요.
lot of
이제
time
그런
to, you
말
know,
하게 된
exercise
이유는
and work
저희가
out.
1세트 충분히
And the
그렇게
reason
장기
I told my
시점까지 양념을 할 수
teammates
있었는데,
is because
그런 자잘자잘한
game
이제
number 1
실수-
shouldn't be
실수들
that long. You
때문에
know, we
약간
were
좀
able to
다듬는
close out
느낌으로
games,
말했던
but
것 같습니다.
we kind
네,
of
알겠습니다. 그
flipped
말이
the ball,
정말 큰
and
힘이
you know
됐을
we
것
were not able
같습니다.
to connect that
그리고
into
1경기와
a victory.
다르게
So I wanted to
2경기는
alert my
스톨킬이 연달아
teammates.
나오면서 빠르게 끝내셨습니다.
However, game 2
이전
actually
경기가
ended
길어진
pretty
것에 대한
fast
피드백이
with
있었기
multiple
때문에
solo
이겼던 건가요,
kills.
고리 선수?
So what was the feedback about?
길어진 이유는
The main reason that we had a long game in game 1 is mostly about my mistake. And about the solo kill, it was because our top laner and mid laner played better.
정말 아름답습니다. 그러면 피넛 선수 오늘
So
1000킬
Peanut,
같은 거 알고 계셨죠?
Also,
네.
were you
아, 네,
aware
경기
that you
끝나고,
were gonna be having
직전에는
your
알고
1000th
있었는데,
kill?
경기 끝나고 1000킬 했구나.
I mean,
라고
I heard it right
정말
before the
순수
game,
정글
but after the
포지션으로만
match, I
그랬지만
realized that I
1000킬이기
made
때문에
it and earned
더더욱
it.
감회가 새로우실 것 같은데
And
소감
yes,
한마디
you are
들어봐야죠.
the first jungler that only played jungle role to pick up
오래 했구나.
1000 kills.
생각도 많이 들고.
I'm only 24 in
그리고
Korean
최근에는
age,
이제
so I
좀
kind of
달리면서,
realized that I
원래는
played
롤드컵이
a very long time
목표였다면 지금은
as a pro player.
제가 최근부터는 다시 우승해보고 싶다라는 생각이
And
너무
you know,
짙게
going to Royals
들어가지고
used to be my goal,
최근에는
but
이제
this time
프로게임만
around, I
끝나기
really
전까지
want to
꼭
win
다시
another
한번
title.
SK 우승해보고 싶다는 생각이
I
강해서
really want to
열심히
win
하도록
one
하겠습니다.
more title before I retire.
달성하시기를 저도
Peanut has
기대를
set the
해보겠고요.
new goal.
고리 선수 아까 전에 팀원들에 대한
And
훈훈한
Gory,
마음 이제 얘기하셨는데 축하의
You told,
한마디.
do you have any celebration message over to Peanut?
저는 아직 100킬도 달성
I don't
못했는데
think I have like 100 kills. So
영호 형 엄청 축하하고
I really
저도
want to say
1000킬 한번
congratulations on
찍어보고
getting
싶네요. 오래오래
1000
해서.
kills,
네.
and I hope I can extend my career and also earn my 1000 kills in the LCK.
얘기를 안 해볼 수가 없을 것 같은데요.
Gory, I want to ask you about your set. You are 4-2-0 on that set pick. We had support set as well. Do you think set is a high priority pick right now?
동의하시나요?
아무래도 세 라인 수합이 가능하니까
This is a
원딜 정글을
three-way
제외한 나머지
flex
세 라인
pick, you
수합이
know,
가능한 픽이다
other than
보니까
jungle
할 줄은
and
아무래도
AD
좋지
carry.
않을까.
So yeah, I
좋게
think
평가를
it is
하고
one of the
계신데
significant
많은
picks.
분들이 세트 삭제 좀. 그리고
Some
어떤
are
분들은
saying
세트
you have to
세트
delete this
논쟁을 하고
champion. Some are
계시는데
saying
그
set
고리
is just
선수의
too OP, just
의견이
take it.
궁금합니다.
어제
Which side are you on?
발걸음 분쇄기 아이템 변경 패치가
Well, there was an
있었는데
update
그래서
with the
아무래도
strike
세트가
breaker
조금은 더
on the live server.
현재 대회 서버
So,
버전보다는 안
I
좋아지지
think
않았나
set
생각을
will
하고
lose
있어요.
his
그래서
power later on.
다음 패치 버전까지
So
기다리시면
I think
세트
if you
공격
wait
서버가
until
되지
the upcoming
않을까
patch,
생각합니다.
you know, set
네,
doesn't really need to be
알겠습니다.
deleted
많은 분들께
from
도움이
league.
되기를 바라면서 자, 이 경기 마지막에 3억
In the end of
들고
game
상대 분대에서
3,
전멸당한
after you
위기가
guys
있으셨어요.
raised all
저희도 보면서
three
정말
inhibitors,
아찔아찔했었는데
you guys almost
이때 이렇게
lost
밀고
the game. You guys
사목적인
almost got
밀고
aced.
들어가신- 아니, 타워가 아직 있는데
So how are you guys
밀고
able
들어가신
to
이유가
go
좀
in
있으실까요?
so aggressively, even with the turrets up around the Nexus?
We
We thought that was the right timing to
한
you know,
번쯤
throw a
해볼 수 있다
shot.
생각해서
We're not too afraid to go in for something like that because we always have another chance.
그런 걸 거예요.
So we wasn't really hesitating.
그래도 기분 좋은 승리를 가져오셨으니까 결과가 중요한 거겠죠.
In the end, you
그리고
guys
고리
did
선수
make
경기가 모두
it.
끝나고 나서 이제
And
세레머니
Corey,
보여주셨잖아요.
We had
아주
some
과감한
ceremony from you after
보여주셨습니다.
the
의미가
game
어떤
2
걸까요?
victory. What did that? What was that about?
5명 단체 촬영 사진 이전에
네.
Before we had the group shot, the photographer came to me and asked if you want to do any pose.
이거 네.
And that was the thing that came to my mind.
없나 생각을 해보다가 아까 이
So I was like wondering like which pose would be cool, and I was like, I did it before, so nothing really special behind it. And your next opponent will be Frederick Brion, who just took down Damwon Kia yesterday.
아무래도 담원 기아를 잡은 팀이다 보니까
Because they
걱정이 많이 되고
defeated Damwon Kia.
팀원보다 강팀일 수도
quite,
있고 약팀일 수도
you know,
있겠지만
Nervous?
저희 팀은
They
이제
might be
이대형
stronger
상황이
or
없도록
weaker than
열심히
T1,
준비해서
but we will do our best to pick up another 2-0 win.
한마디 부탁드립니다.
네, 이제 담원을 잡은
Frederick
프레디
Brion,
브리온이
who
때문에
just
좀더 경계하면서 할 것
took
같고
down Damwon Kia. I think we have to
제가
be
컨디션이
alarmed.
생각보다 좋지 않은데
I'm not feeling well these days, so I think I have to take care of myself and prepare for the upcoming match. And I have one more thing to add.
아까 1000킬
About
달성했을
the
때
1000
지금까지
kills.
이렇게 같이 달려준 이제
I
팬분들이랑 저희
wanna just
팀원들이었던
make a shout out
형들이나
to
동생들이나
all the
이제 같이
fans, my former and
감독님들
current
너무
teammates
감사드리라고
who've been, you know,
감사드린다고
staying
전하고
with me
싶습니다.
all together
감사합니다.
from my professional career. So I want to say thank you, everyone.
소감이었습니다. 아마 이거 보고 계신 많은 분들께서 정말
A very warm message from Peanut to everyone who has been with him from the beginning to his milestone as a jungler in the LCK. And this will be the end of the interview from Gory Peanut from Nongshim, and back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-san, as always, for the awesome translation there of the interview. A touching moment, Peanut, remembering all of his past and current teammates that he has played with. He has been around for quite a while, since 2015. As, yeah, big moment for him, 1,000 kills. That's a lot.
It's a lot. You know, it's a big milestone. It showcases how long he's been playing the game. We're going to take a look at our play of the day, and there were a few of these throughout the day, but this was the most impactful one and one of the more exciting ones is for the first time we do see Live Sandbox actually engage. Let's throw down to the moon. It says, this is the title here, as we see the Diana set engage is so incredibly good between BDD and Clid here. It's just fantastic. This has kind of been the story of all the games we saw tonight.
Gory was like, oh, I don't know if we're going to see more of Set after the Stridebreaker change. I'm like, nah, we'll see him.
Yeah, how many times did Set get nerfed over the years, and how many times did he completely fall out? Very few.
Yeah, I think we'll see it, but yeah, this is just a really good play. This is just awesome follow-up from Clid, just identifying the moments, great communication and team play to make this all happen.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting to see the evolution of Diana. Like, there used to be this Diana Nocturne, then now it's been Diana Set. It's found a lot more success, and if you're Longshim, you're lucky enough to get Diana Set and Nocturne, it's pretty busted. But
yeah.
If you look at the top 4 teams we had last season, you could put big question marks on where they lie now. Like Hanwha Life, T1, Damwon Kia, these are teams that you don't feel confident about at all right now. T1's 2-3, Hanwha Life 1-4. Damwon Kia haven't even solidified their main roster just yet. They ended up losing to Frederick Brion. And the one thing we know for sure is that Gen.G looked great. Nongshim and Afrika look better than Damwon. It's crazy, the season standings we have here in Week 3 so far.
I think there was a mistake on the indicator score. Nongshim are actually +4. That's why they're there with Afrika. The two teams actually haven't played up against each other just yet, so we don't have the head-to-head. I don't believe. Yeah, that's actually coming in Week 5. So for tomorrow's matches, it is going to be KT Rolster up against DRX, and then Damwon Kia up against Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, first match feels very straightforward, unless DRX can really change their performance here and break the losing streak. You know, it feels like KT will dominate. They've looked so good so far. Second series, on the other hand, anything could happen. I mean, Hanwha Life are really struggling, but Damwon Kia just lost to Frederick Brion. We don't know what roster they're going to be fielding tomorrow, so there's a lot of mysteries. There's a lot of questions right now. Who are our top 4 teams in LCK Summer? We're not going to find out for a long time, I don't think.
Who knows? Well, who knows? All we can do is go day by day here at the LCK, and we will have an awesome day tomorrow, as we did today. once again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Was a great day of League of Legends. Thank you for joining for the 70-minute game as well. That was an experience. And we'll see you tomorrow for more of the LCK. Have a great night.